Welcome to Lanterns Live, the only live stream YouTube channel dedicated solely to the Green Lantern universe. I'm Ralph, and today I am discussing Green Lantern Corps #8 with Vactor, who is wearing I was shocked right before we came on, just shocked because I haven't. This is the first time I've seen it. This is the first time I've seen a Lanterns Live shirt anywhere. Other than like the thumbnails on the fourth wall page. I don't even have a Lanterns Live shirt. I think that's a really, really good looking shirt. It makes me a little bit jealous, to be honest with you. You said it was comfortable.
Oh, it feels great, looks great. Yeah, when I got it, I was like, this is fantastic. Plus, Ralph has always been a visual, a visual designing guru. Like anytime I've seen stuff that Ralph has designed, I'm like, yeah, this looks great. Whether it's a thumbnail or a logo, everything has always been fantastic. So when I saw this, I saw a chance to purchase. I said, I gotta support Ralph. I gotta do
I
it.
gotta get one. I gotta get one. I love it. I might get the hat. Like I like hats.
Yeah.
I don't wear as many graphic tees as I used to, but I've been wearing button-up shirts. But man, like a nice black hat with because the hats, I think they actually like embroider, and they do embroidery on some things too. I might even get like a patch. There's like button sets. There's all kinds of stuff that you can see down below in the in the show notes. But dude, that's awesome. Thanks for your support. Speaking of support, Get Your Geek on Studio is in the chat for the first time, I believe. And they say, holy crap, guys, been a diehard Lantern fan my whole life. Actually about to start my own Lantern show. Let us know, is that going to be on the Get Your Geek on Studio thing, or is it going to be a whole separate thing? Drop a link in the chat so I can post it, because I'll follow you.
I will also subscribe.
But just found out you guys exist. You got a subscriber for life. So thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoy the show. Go back and check some of our older stuff. Vactor is can be found at This Comic Cooks and the Vactorverse. You're here for almost every Green Lantern Corps issue that I've covered. You missed last month, thanks to Will Smith for jumping in, but you were sick, which, I mean, you probably would have come on anyway. But the problem was you lost your voice.
Yes, because I've done podcasts. Yeah, I've podcasted before sick. That is not a problem. But the only stipulation on a podcast is that you can hear me. I mean, I could have been typing, but yeah, without my voice, I was like, I can't do this. So I was very saddened to miss the last episode, but you and Will did a great job, and I'm very excited to be back for this issue.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm going to say this off the bat, though, before we get into it, because I don't mind just chatting. We got some folks in the chat asking questions, but like, this is a very, very action oriented issue. Not a whole lot of lore or dialogue and stuff, so it might be really quick, easy unpacking of this issue. So I'm all cool with chatting. So let's talk to Mr. X Gaming, who asks, who's your favorite character? Now I'm putting that out there as Green Lantern character or any character, because for me, when it comes to like DC Comics and comics, Green Lantern is my favorite character. It's the reason why I'm doing this show. There's a lot of Green Lantern centric podcasts out there, and a lot of them do like book reviews and stuff. The reason why I started this channel is because I like doing live streams, and there wasn't a Green Lantern live stream channel. And so anytime any Green Lantern news would drop, especially in this day and age when we have lanterns coming up, there really wasn't an outlet that was Green Lantern centric that covered that stuff. So I created that for this. So Green Lantern is my favorite character. Of the Green Lanterns, Kyle Rayner is my favorite Green Lantern character. So there's that. Now, Vactor, like, this just says who's your favorite character. Do you want to do Green Lantern and then, like, of all time, your favorite character? I notice, like, you have a few Spider-Man things on your background.
Yeah. I was gonna say, are we just sticking to DC? Green Lantern in particular, I've always been a Hal Jordan guy, so I'm the plain boring guy. Hal is my
Hal's great.
but as far as like of every character, it's really up there with Spider-Man and Superman. Like they're kind of neck and neck. Spider-Man has edged out Superman at various points in my life, and then Superman has edged out, but they're always like one and two.
Yeah. I remember around the time of the 90s, like around the time Kyle Rayner first showed up in Green Lantern 50, and then full on his own book in 51. A lot of people would say that Kyle Rayner is sort of the Spider-Man or the Peter Parker
Mm, yeah.
of DC. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, they actually even went, I think, a little further. I think that is 100% accurate of saying that. They they also created a character called Sideways,
Mm,
and he was like you you could there's various times in Marvel and DC's history where you could see them directly copying a character.
right.
And Sideways, I think, was a direct Peter Parker, like one to one. Not he's not very popular in a lot of the there's no live action movie or there's no TV show, but he is, I think, the DC equivalent on purpose. Like they made him to be a Spider-Man analog. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
Kyle Rayner for sure fits that characteristic.
Yeah. Any character by the looks of your channel, like Booster Gold? I like Booster Gold. I'm not super familiar with Booster Gold. I keep hearing that there's possible Booster Gold coming up in the DCU at some point. There's been a lot of rumors saying that it may be Kumail Nanjiani, which I think he'd make a great Booster Gold. Um, I feel for the guy because recently it came out that he was like really devastated that Eternals didn't take off like they had hoped because he was like part of like a 7 picture deal or something, and it was
Yeah,
just like he went in and he completely like trained
he
to
changed his
be
body.
he changed. Yeah, he's like he went from that guy from Silicon Valley who's like a just a computer tech guy to like a superhero, and then for the sort of rug to be pulled out from underneath him, I think is it's a bit of a bummer. But he was at the Superman premiere. Clearly he's friends with James Gunn. If he does Booster Gold, this may be like his Deadpool moment. Like it didn't
Ooh.
quite work with Ryan Reynolds the first time he played Deadpool, and now he's getting he got sort of wooed over to DC after Wolverine Origins, X Men Origins Wolverine kind of tanked, and Deadpool was felt like it was out of his grasp. So I feel like DC can definitely woo over Kumail to be Booster Gold, and I'd really like to see it because I don't know a ton about Booster Gold. I know basics about Booster Gold, like basically what you read on the back of his trading cards. Like that's mostly my knowledge of Booster Gold, and so I would love to see a show because I think it would get me into the character more, and I'd probably be the guy who says, "Okay, new to Booster Gold, where do I start reading?" I'll be like that guy. Um, Mr. X Gaming asks, why Kyle? I found Kyle incredibly relatable. When Kyle Rayner was first introduced, I was a kid in high school, and I used to doodle comic book guys and different stuff. Um, and when I opened up the pages, here's a guy who wasn't a test pilot. Here's a guy who wasn't a Marine and an architect. And so for me, I'm like, like Kyle has black hair, and he was roughly like my age, maybe a little bit older, and he was into the same stuff I was. Like he would make Star Wars references and comic book references, and so it was really easy for me to gravitate towards that character. I love the character so much that my wife spent an arm and a leg on that statue back there, and I just love it.
Woohoo.
I love it. I'm probably going to be moving some stuff around, so that I'm going to actually probably bring that statue closer to my background so you guys can get a better look um, uh, down the road. Um, Hal Jordan, get your geek on is with you for that. Saint Walker and the Blue Lanterns are their favorite. I love the Blue Lanterns. My car is blue. I have a Blue Lantern emblem vinyl sticker on the back, and I have a little Brother Worth Hero Click glued to the top of my rearview mirror. And so like Blue Lanterns are probably my second favorite. I tend to gravitate towards the good guys. You know, I know a lot of folks are like fans of like Darth Vader and Stormtroopers and Darth Maul and I'm sure there's like guys who are like Sinestro's so cool, Atrocitus is awesome. For me, I'm always about the good guys. So if you were to ask me like my favorite character of all time in any media or whatever, probably Luke Skywalker, who I think is
Nice.
like kind of the Hal Jordan. Like it's kind of maybe not as sexy as Han Solo, but like that's me. I've always been a fan of like the rebellion and good guys, and I love seeing the good guys win. Um, yeah, yeah. Okay, what are your thoughts on the inside reports are saying the premise of Green Lantern or Lantern Show is Hal and John investigating the murder of Alan Scott? I haven't heard that one.
Ooh.
Um, and around the prophecy of Blackest Night. Okay, so for the longest time, ever since they announced this thing, I have been curious why it takes two Green Lanterns to go investigate a murder in Nebraska. Made no sense to me. I was like, unless it was a character who was like a big deal, like I threw out stuff like Oliver Queen, people who were like sort of tied to Hal Jordan,
Mm,
and it feels like what they're doing is Hal Jordan is coming out of retirement to do this case,
yeah.
and so it was like I felt like it was someone like that, like Ollie Queen or Barry Allen or somebody. It's the
Ooh.
reason why Hal Jordan is coming out of retirement to do this. I haven't heard Alan Scott, and I got to be honest with you, that kind of gets me excited. I mean, listen, I don't want to see a dead Alan Scott. That's not what I want to see at all. I'm wearing my Blackest Night ring, my because it's this like A, it matches my hat, but B, I kind of want like I want this series to have Black Lantern so bad, and the way Garrett Dillahunt is teasing Black Hand is getting me very excited. So I'm sort of kind of I guess I'm willing it into power the Black Power. I'm willing it into this series, and I'm my fingers are crossed, man. I'm so excited.
That would
Um,
be amazing if that happened.
Yeah. We have Chad in the chat regarding today's core issue. It's always Krona. Why are they so obsessed? LOL. We can get into that. Do you want to talk? Let's see if there's any other questions about. Um, yeah, I haven't read any. Wait, Chad also asks, oh no, no, this is Mr. X Comics. I haven't read any of the issues of what you guys are covering. Can you explain real quick? So right now there's two main Green Lantern books going. There's Green Lantern, written by Jeremy Adams, and that is usually covered on a monthly basis by me and Will Smith of Green Lantern's podcast. The second ongoing book that ties into the main book is Green Lantern Corps, which Vactor comes on once a month to discuss, and that's what we're discussing today. So where Green Lantern follows kind of Hal Jordan and the main characters, that's happening over there. Green Lantern Corps covers kind of the more ancillary Green Lanterns, like your Simon Baz, Jessica Cruz. But right now we're in the middle of a big crossover event, so we're getting everybody in this Green Lantern Corps. We're getting Kyle Rayner, uh, John Stewart. We're getting Guy and Joe, which we're going to need to talk about, and like pretty much everybody. And what's great is if you're familiar with the Green Lantern the animated series, Jeremy Adams, who's written on both of these books, have brought in some characters that were created for that show. Razor and Aya are also in these books, along with the Interceptor and Kilowog. So you got the all the team there. So if you get a chance, I highly recommend um, Green Lantern Corps. And today we're talking specifically about Green Lantern Corps number 8. Yeah.
Yes.
What are your okay? Let me talk about Krona real quick. It's always Krona. Listen, I don't know. Well, here's the thing with Krona. At least he's not like overseeing everything. Krona's part of the side story that's been going on with Ellie and Kelli, and
Yes.
and now Simon's really thrust into the story. I'm a kind of a fan of Krona. We haven't seen him really in a while, but it's always Krona because Krona's like the Sinestro of Guardians. He is a guardian that sort of got what do you call it? Exiled,
Mm-hmm.
and he's the power of a guardian, and but he's also like evil, and so I'm a fan of Krona. I'm really interested in seeing what happens with Simon. I think the final splash page, which we'll get to, uh, has me really excited about what's going on with Simon. And what's kind of messed up is I haven't read it yet, and I decided that I'm going to be covering it next week. Is Justice League Red, and is it just? I mean, I guess I'm just going to have to keep two Simons separate in the storyline, and they'll have like nothing to do with each other because I'll just say it. We can start off by saying it. So Krona, we believe, has built the gauntlet that Kelli found, right?
Yes.
And Ellie found this out in Kelly's brain while she was in there. And so, like, the last shot of this is Simon with the gauntlet, but like looks like he's like under control of Krona. So, I mean, listen, again, I know Krona, but here's the thing, like with I kind of forgive Jeremy Adams a little bit because of like some of the people he's been bringing back, like in this book. Like he's been bringing back some obscure people. He's kind of doing the James Gunn route of using lower tier characters like Starbreaker and stuff like that. Um, so like it's not like he's just using the big guns as far as the bad guy. And since we currently have Sinestro as a good guy, like I think it's fun to bring in one of the big bad guys. Um, but yeah, I get it. I get it. But what are your thoughts on Krona and him rearing his ugly head in this issue?
Yeah, it's funny you said that because the Sinestro of the Guardians, he's been around since the beginning of time, and like his energy like got dispersed into the universe and been going around. When I saw that, well, first of all, I was just kind of like relieved a little bit because we've been it's been teasing like what's behind that door that we were in her mind, and it's like what's
Yeah,
behind that door, what's behind that door, and so it's finally okay. We now we know what's behind the door. We know all these things, so a little bit of like relief from me. But when I saw it was Crona, I was like, oh, okay, this is it's he's almost also like Thanos, where it's like he
yeah,
they've done it so many times, but he's still fun every time I see him. Same thing with Darkseid. It's like every time I see him, like, okay, here he comes again. What new story can they tell with him that hasn't been done
yeah.
yet? But it's still fun every time I see. You give a little rest, give a break. Oh, okay, bring him back. Like let's
Yeah.
have him back again. So I'm always happy.
We Chad says we haven't seen him since War of the Green Lanterns. It's been a while. It's been a while. Also, like you figure, yeah, this is only issue number 8 of Green Lantern Corps, but Jeremy Adams has waited, 26 issues, 27 issues of Green Lantern, and eight issues of Green Lantern Corps. Like it's been like I'm glad there's some restraint there. It does feel like we're early on in this run still because of all the crossovers, but we are at like 2 years. I need to give a shout out to Get Your Geek On Studios for becoming a member of the Green Lantern, the Lanterns Live subscription. I don't know what to call it. What do you call it?
Put your
Because
rings up.
yeah, because
Membership, isn't it?
it's just
Is it
it's a
membership?
membership,
Yeah.
and so for this first month, and as Vactor once was, you have a yellow circle badge next to you. You start off, or not a yellow circle, a white circle. You're a new recruit, and then if you're around for a month, your badge now will be a Green Lantern for the remainder of the year, and then it starts cycling through lanterns every year after that. And you can reach. I mean, if the show's still around, that badge will become a Guardian badge. Not that Guardians are great, but my sister stopped by to say hi. There she is. Hey, Sarah. Will popped in, hasn't read this one yet because of work. Hope you guys have a great show and happy to see Vactor feeling better. So
Thank you,
glad you're
Will.
feeling better. Also, we'll see Will in a couple weeks as we cover Green Lantern 27.
Yes.
I'm starting. Yeah, 27.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just looked at that last splash page. Yes.
It's good. It's good. Listen, man, I'm Simon's never really my main dude. He'd probably never be my main dude because I was probably in my like 30s, late 30s by the time he came around, and so I was like had my guys set in stone. But I love reading his stories. I think Sam Humphries did a great job on the Green Lanterns book, which was the Simon and Jessica book. And so I love seeing it. I'm glad he's getting something interesting to do here. I don't know if they're going to make him a big bad, and I don't even know if Krona. I don't even know if Krona is going to be around much. But Krona's inside her brain. It's interesting. So what's this
Yeah.
gauntlet? Maybe the gauntlet. He's not inside the brain, but maybe he's in the gauntlet as like an entity. Like Krona is now the entity of this gauntlet thing and
Yes.
living in there. And so whoever uses that gauntlet, Krona can control. Maybe it's like the
Did
yellow
we?
impurity, but
Yeah.
it's Krona.
Did we see Simon put the glove on? I can't remember.
I don't remember seeing Simon put the glove on. I think he just,
Okay.
it was like, oh, it got on him. But even when,
Yeah.
in the last issue, when, man, Ellie was in Kelly's brain,
Yes.
like there was definitely some sort of like possession going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thinking that this glove sort of speaks to Simon, maybe, or something like that. Like something's up.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, those are three characters that I probably care about the least: Ellie, Kelly, and Simon. But this is interesting. It's an interesting way to tie them all together into one sort of storyline where when you cut away to like 2 pages, I think, in this book of them, I'm like, oh, great. They're not taking up too much of my time. And the story I feel is interesting enough to where I'm like, okay, I'm curious to know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
So
That.
I'm pretty excited about the whole Chrono. I know listen, I'm one of those suckers who, anytime like you get a cameo, they bring someone back, and the crowd cheers. Like that's me. Like when it comes to Green Lantern, it's like I like seeing old friends.
Mhm.
And yeah, I don't know. I like Krona. I think Krona's
Yeah.
interesting. I always thought that the regular like Guardians were like
I
bad.
couldn't even
They're
name them besides Ganthet. Like I couldn't even tell you any of the other names.
like there's Ganthet, there's Sade, who is
Oh yes,
the
right.
the the female
Yeah.
Guardian
She was in
that
the
creates. She's in the series, and she
animated.
creates
Yes.
the Blue Lantern Corps with Ganthet
Yes. Okay.
when he leaves. There's Scar, who is another
Don't know
evil.
him.
Scar, it's a woman played by Sarah Douglas in Green Lantern the animated series. She's the one that
Oh.
um, created Aya and then got
Oh.
blasted by
Okay.
the Anti
Yes.
Monitor.
Okay.
And
Yes.
but she's in the books. She shows up in Blackest Night and stuff. Ala Appa Aliapsa is another sort of like he's in the animated series as well, and he's kind of the stodgy, like grouchy
Oh. Okay.
Lantern. He's like the opposite of Gambit. So
Yes.
those are the ones I know, and I'm sure there's other ones that I'm forgetting. If anybody in the comments could clear up a few more. I bet Chad knows more, or if he wants to, he can just let us know in the chat, or just someone could look it up and post it. But those are the main like Guardians I know, and for me, like Guardians were always like an authority figure.
Mhm.
And it's like ever since like day one, like first appearance, like the Guardians seem really like kind of on their high horse, and they're the most powerful beings in the universe, and they've created this brilliant core to run the universe for them, and they don't ever think about their actions or what they're doing. The their downfall being the Manhunters, the first failed police force they didn't humble them at all. I've always felt like they're kind of not great. They may have good intentions, but sometimes they they need to open their eyes. They need to get out into the field, and it's one of the better themes of the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds. Is Ryan Reynolds comes in and says, "Hey, you guys created this parallax." Of course, it was Krona. Krona has been infected by this yellow energy of fear, and he's coming to Earth. You got to open your eyes and send help, and they don't. So Hal Jordan, what he does is fights Parallax on his own on Earth. In the original script, he recruits Tomar Ray, Sinestro, and Kilowog to help him fight Krona on Earth. It's in the making of book, which I highly recommend checking out. It's called Constructing Green Lantern from Page to Screen. And it turns out now I don't know if this is a rumor, if people have verified this, but in the movie, when Hal Jordan is fighting Parallax and then takes Parallax to the sun, I believe what was originally supposed to happen was like Hal Jordan was like, screw this, screw the Guardians. I'm going to bring Parallax to Oa, and lures Parallax to Oa, where all the Green Lantern Corps is forced to fight Parallax. And then Green Lantern, Hal Jordan then uses the Owen sun to dispatch Parallax. So for me, like the Guardians are never really good. Maybe they originally had good intentions, but I feel like Krona, obviously, the power went to Krona's head. Where you have Gauntlet and Sade, who are like, the Guardians are kind of like, Hal Jordan's right. Like the Guardians are kind of like, I don't know, nearsighted or farsighted, nearsighted or whatever, where they're not really paying attention to the problems at hand, and they're just sending their Green Lanterns out, and so they leave and create the Blue Lantern Corps. So for me, like I don't know, I prefer just like Krona. He's just an evil guy. Like there's no, it's just like, oh, this guy sucks, but he's also a Guardian, so he's so powerful.
Yeah. I wonder if there's ever going to be just a writer that comes along and like, all right, we've been doing the Guardians suck for 50 years. Let's do one where they get a win. Let's do one where they do something that's good. Besides creating the Green Lantern Corps, like let's have them do something that is good for the galaxy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Jeremy. Tough. Like that's the fun thing is you know, is I've always like I've worked in several. I'll tell you this: like I worked at Disneyland. I work in the custodial department, which has a main office with managers, and there are sweepers and hosers and all kinds of people. Not like hosers, like Bob and Doug McKenzie, but people like wash down the park and clean and stuff like that. And those cast members are spread out into the park. And there would be some managers who would come out, see the problems, talk to the custodians, and get the problems fixed. There was others, and the majority of the managers would just sit in the office and just do whatever they do without going out to see what the problems were, and would just hear things firsthand. So for me, I've always bumped heads with management, because I would always have to go to them to tell them, hey, this thing is wrong, and they would send me back out to go fix it. Like if you come out and actually see the problems happening, we can take care of things quicker. So for me, I've always butted heads with upper management, and I feel like the Guardians are the same way. They don't get out and make the universe better. They just assume, oh well, we created a perfect police system. They'll go out and do their thing. That didn't work with Manhunters, and sometimes it doesn't work with the Green Lanterns, because when you have someone like Sinestro who wants to do good but is butting heads with management, he's like, okay, screw you guys, I'll go do my own thing, and creates the Sinestro Corps. So it's, for me, the Guardians I've never thought of like good guys or anything. Yeah,
I think I'm sure that's where the drama comes from, and it's like the relatability of that, of what you just said. How many people in America can relate to not enjoying their situation at work, or their bosses not enjoying the upper management? I think the Guardians kind of give us that in the comic book realm, in the comic book
Yeah,
form.
yeah. And it's one of the things I talked about with Jeremy Adams a couple weeks ago about how he's like writing stories that are like anti-authority and stuff, and so I feel a lot of that. And I mean, no matter what kind of system you have set in place with like managers and higher ups, there's always just going to be a really really awful one. And you know, I think I could see why Jeremy Adams wants to write Krona, because the Guardians are kind of absent right now. Um, so maybe with Krona rearing his ugly head, we'll start getting more Guardian stuff. I know they're there, but I'm really curious to see how this goes. Um, this issue opens with Nathan Nathan Broom, who is not doing so hot. Hasn't been doing hot since the beginning of this run. Um, Introduced in the regular main Green Lantern run. So these crossover issues are really integral. You have to read them both to kind of know what's going on with him. Um, he is he's an interesting character. Um, like he's basically the narrator of this issue. He's given
Yes.
the play-by-play of what's happening. He's well, I'm not going to say unhappy. He's full of sorrow, and he has kind of regrets about this and Starbreaker sort of turning him into the Sorrow Lantern, and he feels like the only way to stop this sort of war that's going on is to sacrifice himself. Um, this all takes place at this power battery that Starbreaker created to suck all of the emotions out of the universe. And I love this idea. I think it's a really fun idea, um, and I really really enjoy our favorite Green Lanterns showing up, writing the entities, which was a holdover from the last issue Green Lantern 27, 26, 26. Um, and I just love it. Like these battle shots, Fernando Passarin is the artist on this issue and just knocked it out of the park. I love seeing everyone writing the entity. Um, I love seeing the characters writing them. I like. It was interesting to see who they chose to ride which entity.
Mm-hmm.
Guy writing compassion was okay. I thought it was interesting. Um, Sinestro being red is also interesting. I know he's been red during this run. So it's really interesting to see this kind of stuff like Kilowog in yellow, um, Hal being green, um,
Joe Orange,
Joe Orange.
and
I think
I was
she may have
wondering
just
about
drawn this short straw.
that.
Like
Yes.
it didn't seem like they were affected much by the stuff. I mean,
Right.
you could argue that Sinestro was full of rage, but I mean, when isn't he?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Really? There's something I wanted to bring up. Dan over at Mosaic Comics posted on Blue Sky recently that he had issues with the constructs. And in the last issue, Hal Jordan cut off the Starbreaker hand with a sword that looked like it was from anime or what's it? Like a Final Fantasy style sword, like the big, like giant, chunky sword, and was sort of voicing concerns on like Hal Jordan making a construct that is very unlike Hal Jordan. It felt more like a Kyle like construct, and I tend to agree with him. And then in this issue, we see Hal Jordan with a sword, but it looks more medieval, which I think fits a little bit better. Even in like Green Lantern the animated series, like Hal Jordan was dressed as a knight in an episode, and he in was it a Kingdom Come? He's got like there's his armor with where he looks like very much looks like a knight.
Yes.
Um, So that's cool. I like the constructs. I think Fernando Passarin does the constructs very, very well. I think they're more fitting to the characters. I think Zermanico also does great constructs. I think um, last issue, Carol was flying in a construct that was a sapphire like jet,
Yeah.
which is perfect because she's the head of Farrier's aircraft, and
Yeah.
um, that I really, really like that. And I agree with Dan. It makes more sense when the constructs match the people creating them. Um, yeah. So for this issue, I was looking at that. It seemed like they were able to crush Predator, which was Carol's entity, but she didn't lose her color. I was kind of hoping when Hal reached out to her, the way that Guy reached out to Joe. Guy reached out to Joe, who was falling, and she was losing her uniform because her ring power was depleted. When Guy grabbed her, she started turning indigo. And so I was hoping that the same thing was going to happen with Carol. But when Hal grabbed her,
Oh,
again,
yeah, yeah.
too many dudes
Mhm.
saving women. Like these these characters can fend for themselves. I don't need them to be rescued by men. But I was I was like hoping just for just a minute, a couple of panels of seeing Carol as a Green Lantern. I was like, oh man, they got to do it. It's so close. Like as soon as Guy did that with Joe, I was like, okay, now it's Carol's turn to turn green. Are we gonna get that? Yeah,
I wonder if it's because everyone else before this was a Green Lantern and she was already a Star Sapphire.
yeah,
So maybe that's why she didn't change and everyone else
right.
did. That's the way I was thinking about it in
Yeah,
my head. But like you were saying, that would have been cool to see her turn into green. That would have been super
yeah.
cool. Also, I wanted to ask you, when you saw Guy's construct, when you saw his baseball bat, were you thinking Superman? When I saw that, all I could think
I
of
didn't
was
think of it.
Superman.
I didn't think of it, but that's very funny. That's one of my favorite moments in that when Superman's chatting with Lois, um, and you just see that baseball bat just whacking at that ball shaped space imp. Um, I didn't even think of that. That's so funny because baseball bats are like a pretty like default construct. Um, but that's very fun. It's been a while since it's been set up that there's a possible romance between Joe and Guy,
Ooh.
and I feel like this is like coming back to that a little bit.
Mm.
Um, because she tells him like, "Oh, you're just like gonna give me shit for this forever. Like you're never gonna let me live this down." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm having a good day. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
maybe I'll let it slide." And I'm like, "That's not Guy. Guy, I think it really really likes Joe." And it was set up in earlier issues, but we haven't seen it for a while. Do you have any thoughts on the relationship, Joe and Guy relationship?
That is interesting. I wasn't picking up on that, but now that you say that, yeah, that definitely tracks. And they could go into some interesting places there. Um, Thinking about, yeah, where a relationship between those two could go in the future of one of these books, that would be interesting.
I don't even know if I would want necessarily a romantic relationship, but I could see them going off on a mission
Hmm.
because they're
Like a
pretty tough.
maybe like
They're
brother
really
sister.
yeah, they're like a really rough and tumble. At least
Hmm.
that's how I read
Yeah.
Joe. I don't know if you've read the
Yeah.
Far Sector. If you
Yes.
have it,
Yes. Yes.
it's so good. I
Yes.
highly recommend it. I've been meaning to do like kind of a reread and do an episode on that.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I'd love to revisit it, but I always thought of her as rough and tumble. And of
Mm.
course, we all know who guy like what guys like. And so, if it's not romantic, I'd still like to see something. I'm not huge into like romance and stuff. I've been rereading the Kyle Rayner books that started in like '95 or whatever, and I'm getting pretty close. I think I'm like 30 issues away from getting to Jeff Johns' run,
Mm.
and he's like gone out with Jade and Donna Troy, and it's like I was like never really into that. But for some reason, with this recent run with Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps, maybe it's the way Jeremy Adams and Morgan Hampton write, but I'm really interested in Nathan and Carol and Hal and Carol. I've never really cared much about the Hal Carol dynamic, but for some reason the way it's being written here, I've been really enjoying that. So maybe I don't mind a little bit more romance in these books. Is really weird to say because I'm like I like sci-fi, and this is like superheroes with mixed with sci-fi. It's Star Wars with capes. Is basically the show. It's one of the reasons why I like the Clone Wars so much, because I'm like, the Clone Wars series reminds me of Green Lantern. You have the Jedi Knight, and then they get dispatched. Yeah. You have the council, the Jedi Council, full of stodgy old men who are probably they think they're so powerful, but they're not thinking straight. It's the exact same thing I was talking about the Guardians. They got to get out into the universe to see what's happening, and that doesn't happen until the Clone Wars began, and by that time it's too late. So like Yoda's kind of like the gauntlet in this story, and so I don't know who that Ali Apsa would be. There's some dark. I guess Dooku would be, or Krona. Krona. Dooku would be Krona. He leaves and becomes evil. Yeah. So there's like it's one of those things where I've never once cared about like romance stories, but I don't know. There's enough room to play with. I don't mind a couple pages of Guy and Joe. Just like I like seeing Green Lanterns on their downtime. It's fun. Well, it brings more. It makes them feel more real, I guess.
Yeah, but you're a big fan of the Razor Aya story,
dude. Like, listen. Giancarlo Volpe, Jim Krieg, Drew Tim, everybody that worked on that show manipulated me to really, really care for those characters.
That's good writing right there.
Rob says Ralph ain't into romance. Listen, I don't know. Because we only get 22 pages a book, and I want to know what's going to happen with this power battery. I want to know what happened, because Nathan walks into the battery as a self-sacrifice to destroy it. It explodes. There's just this page of just chaos everywhere, and I want to know what's next. And that's usually how it is. I need to know what's next, and it's usually not Joe and Guy going on a date. But now the way Jeremy Adams writes these things, he could probably get away with if he did one page of that, I'd be happy.
Yeah, it's jam-packed already.
Yeah, he can jam a lot into a page. Last issue of Green Lantern, we got one page of Kelli, Ellie, and Simon, but it packed a lot of story in it.
Yeah.
Smelly. It really packed a lot into that one page. So for me, I'm like, listen, if he wants to devote a page to these two, I'm curious. He's got me curious about what's going on with these two. And especially with Guy being in live action currently, I can see people coming over and being like, let me pick up the latest issue of Green Lantern. Who's this person Guy's going out with?
That would be very interesting. But if I know Ralph, there's two things he doesn't like: romance and onion rings. I know that for a fact, right?
What? I love onion rings. I love onion rings.
Okay, I was wrong.
Dude, I just saw that Burger King has the new crispy onion Whopper, and then I was like, whoa. Oh wait, if they just stick their onion rings on that Whopper, that might be real good. I'm a fan of Burger King onion rings. They're interesting. It's almost like they blend the onions into a paste, and then bread a ring of that. Oh, they're so good. And get that sauce. Shit, dude. Remember when I was supposed to talk about Absolute Green Lantern #2, and instead we talked about Wendy's and cheeseburgers and stuff? Oh my god.
Good times.
Yeah, I actually do like onion rings. So if you only know one thing I hate. Romance.
It's really interesting that this Starbreaker Supremacy is going to end in this book Green Lantern Corps #9 is going to be the finale of this
Yeah,
Starbreaker Supremacy crossover. I've really enjoyed jumping back and forth between the two books. It got me reading the main book again because you had
yeah,
recommended to me way back, and then I got caught up because of Aya, and now it's like, yeah, this
yeah.
is.
This is good
I'm
stuff.
gonna keep on going. I'm gonna. These are
It's
on my pull list now.
and Jeremy Adams on the episode he was on a couple weeks ago. Highly recommend you check it out if you haven't.
Oh, great episode.
He mentioned he was really concerned because he says he's still fairly feels like he's fairly new to comics. I think he's doing a great job. Was saying how he had issues. He feels like he has issues with pacing. I know
Mm.
some fans were saying like as such like the pacing seemed a little bit off, but I got to
Mm-mm.
tell you, the fact that we're getting a new Green Lantern book every other week has been really nice. Because in 2 weeks we will be I'll be covering with Will Green Lantern again. Is it 27? Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
and then 2 weeks after that you'll probably be back. I haven't asked you properly, but you'll probably be back for the next issue of Green Lantern Corps, issue 9, which you mentioned will be the end of the Starbreaker Supremacy, and I'm sure we'll still get more fractured spectrum stuff. Um, but what's interesting is after issue 9, Jeremy Adams is no longer on Green Lantern Corps. It'll just be Morgan Hampton. So it'll
Ooh.
be interesting. So it seems like he was working with Morgan Hampton on Green Lantern Corps basically to set up this Starbreaker Supremacy run.
Mm.
And now that
Ah.
that's going to end, Morgan Hampton's going to go off and do his own thing. And I believe, like, I don't know, I'm wondering, I'm not, I don't believe, I'm wondering if they're going to be so tight together as they are now,
Right.
or if Green Lantern
Yeah.
Corps is going to like split off to like its own thing. Um, I'm,
That's what I
I'm
would think.
really, I'm really interested in seeing because we were getting excited about Green Lantern Corps at the beginning of this run, how it felt more like an anthology series,
Yes.
and it was
Yes.
like little 3-issue story arcs using the artist for 3 issues, then a different artist the next 3 issues, and then
Yes.
that stopped at number 7 or 8 or 7. That kind
Mhm.
of went away to do this Starbreaker Supremacy. I'm kind of hoping. What do you think once this is all said and done? Are you looking forward to like kind of more of what we've been getting, or do you want to go? Would you want to go back to like how this started with like anthology stories?
I would really like it to go back to the anthologies because this right now, the way that it's going, it just feels like an extension of Green Lantern.
Right.
When it was the anthology stories, it was like it felt more like a justification of a separate book rather than
Yeah.
just have a longer Green Lantern. Having those the side stories, the other lanterns have Hal be the main guy in Green Lantern, and then Green Lantern Corps, because there's so many other ones, that be the anthology book. I really hope they go back to that because I was having a great time.
Man, it reminds me of the difference between like Rogue One and Solo. Like Rogue
Mm,
One is pretty. You have a lot of
yeah,
the same characters coming from the prequels and the original trilogy, and it definitely impacts what happens between both of those two movies. So that's how Green Lantern Corps feels today. But
yeah.
before, it felt more like Solo, where it's like,
Mm,
okay, I recognize these two characters, but the rest of it is a completely detached story that has nothing to do with the main Skywalker saga, and I
right.
like that. I like them both, but I am interested in getting back to like more of an anthology feel. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I think I definitely want to reach out to Morgan Hampton, bring him
Mm,
on to talk about uh, what it's like, because I'm sure he's finished writing number 10 on his own. I'm
yeah.
sure that's like in the books. Number 9 is done. Curious to pick his brain about the book. So maybe
Yes,
I'll
that'd be
reach
good
out
too.
and get him on around the time Green Lantern Corps becomes his book. Um,
Sweet.
that'd be so cool because I got
Yeah.
to be honest. Like even though I do prefer the anthology and I was having a ton of fun with that. Um, I still I still like I still like the what's going on now with the crossover because it reminds me of the heyday of. It's weird to call it a heyday of Jeff Johns and Peter Tomasi, Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps. which
Yes.
again Jeremy Adams mentioned is what got him hooked into the characters of Green Lantern was
Yeah.
was was that run, because it's really, and say what you want about the pacing or whatever, it is nice to get a Green Lantern book every other week. And then of course there's Green Lantern Dark, and there's Absolute Green Lantern, and now there's Justice League Red. So you're getting a ton of Green Lantern, but for those of you that just follow the main two books, which is what I normally do, um, it's really good. I'm eating well, as they say.
Yeah.
Um, but next week I am going to dive into Justice League Red #1. So look
I
for
have
that same time next week for sure.
I have read that and I enjoyed it a lot. I think you're going to enjoy it too.
Okay, cool, cool. And then it's getting to the point where everyone's saying, like, everyone hit like a turning point. If a lot of people like Absolute Green Lantern, I read the first 2 issues, wasn't into it, did a whole episode about Wendy's toys instead of talking about what I should have been talking about. But I keep hearing people love it, or if they were kind of iffy on it, have taken, like, it's taken an upswing, and now they're like really fired up based on, I think, issue number 5 or 4, something like that. So soon, whenever the trade drops, I might just go pick up a trade at a local bookstore and just blast out Absolute Green Lantern. And I
That's
think,
I was going to say that's usually when you can get the whole story, at
yeah,
once, it eases a little bit of tension. And the writer Al Ewing, he's been doing, like, I would say that for the last decade, he's been one of the top writers in all of comics. He was at Marvel for a long time, but I have full faith that he knows where he's going with this story.
yeah, I'm interested in it. It is a weird take for me. It was tough to get around, like, Hal Jordan, where he ended up
Yeah.
seeing what John was up to, and Joe. It was really interesting seeing Ab and Sur in a different light. It was a
Mm.
little bit
Yeah.
jarring, and doing it one book a month was making it really hard for me to want to stay invested in it. So I
Right.
think going the trade paperback route is the way to go, and I can
Yes.
just be like, okay, let me sit down, let me get the story. And
Right.
so at some point I'll be doing I'll continue my coverage of
Yeah.
Absolute Green Lantern, and then Green Lantern Dark is ending soon, and I should probably cover that as well. I really want to try to keep on top of the books, um, as much as I love the attraction, or the attention that the live action stuff is getting with Nathan Fillion and the Lantern Show. As much as I love that, I always want to make sure that Lanterns fans have a place to go for comic reviews. Um, I just want to say that I really enjoyed this issue. It was very action heavy, so it wasn't too much to talk about, but I really enjoyed this issue. It made me happy that we got a good, nice action scene this week, and then in 2 weeks we'll be back on it. Green Lantern 27. I'll be here
Yes.
with Will. Um, but yeah, do you have any more thoughts on this issue, Green Lantern Corps #8?
The only other thing besides everything you just said, I will echo. This was a great action issue. Not a whole lot, like you said, lore based. But the reveal of Krona at the end, we've been wondering what's going on. So that was kind of a relief. The Nathan Star, like his Sorrow Lantern thing, that was pushed a little further in the storyline. Everything else was just like, all right, get your popcorn. Here's a big battle. Here's a big action scene. So that stuff was all fun. But the art overall in the book was fantastic. There were 2 artists. You mentioned Fernando Pasaran
Yeah,
and Auclair Albert was the other
Claire
artist.
Albert.
So
He's been around a while. He was around during the Jeff Johns run. I
dang.
think, is he an inker? I think he's the inker.
Hmm.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
But there wasn't
they did a great
anything.
job.
There wasn't anything in the book where it looked like it was 2 artists. It looked
Yeah,
it
there
looked
wasn't like
cohesive.
right. There wasn't like, all right, here's an anime section and here's another one.
Right.
They just did a great job. The art has been solid and consistent on this. The Green Lantern Corps, all the artists that they've had so far, and this was no exception. Great job.
Okay, so one last thing before we go. Uh, how about a prediction? Have we
Ooh.
seen the end of Nathan?
No, I don't think, because he's been there since the beginning of the Jeremy Adams Green
Right.
Lantern.
Oh, I lost the Vactor, and I don't know if he got lost or if I'm lost. So if someone on the chat wants to let me know who is frozen. Oh, there you are. I lost you for a second.
All right, what was the last thing you heard?
The last we've seen of Nathan, he
Oh,
walked
yes.
into the thing.
I don't think this is the last, just because he's been around since the beginning of Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern run. I think he's going to be one of those characters that he's going to go until the end of the arc or whatever the
So,
run ends up being.
so here's the thing. He's been the Sorrow Lantern. He walks into this power battery that has been pulling every single emotion in the universe into this one concentrated spot. What does that do to him? Is he now inundated
Ooh.
with every emotion?
Hmm.
I think
Dang.
we're to believe he's dead because Carol says he sacrificed himself, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's the
Yeah,
last we've seen of him. But
I don't think so.
what does that do to someone? Because we've seen Kyle. Kyle's been the White Lantern. He's absorbed all these emotions and stuff, and he was carrying that with him ever since he left the Source Wall. Is he
I
going to
was
be like
trying to
the
think.
anti version of the White
Yeah,
Lantern?
and not a Black Lantern, but like an inverse of white, like he's a negative lantern or something. Yeah, like that. I could see him being something like that, but I don't think he's dead.
So, so here's a prediction I just thought of. And we saw Starbreaker rebuild his arm using white energy
Yeah,
of life,
that was
which
cool.
I was like, okay, that's interesting. Um, so if Kyle's able to control all these emotions at once and be the White Lantern, what if Nathan gets inundated with all of these emotions but can't control them? What if he's now like whatever this anti-White Lantern is? He's out of control. Like
Hmm.
none of him is there. Like
And it's
what is
switching like
maybe switching, but like he's
different
fractured.
emotions.
He's like
Hmm.
the
Yeah,
fractured lantern.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like
I can see that. Yeah,
and and I have a feeling he's going to be very powerful. I don't think we're done with Nathan.
hmm, yeah,
Um, I think the Carol line of saying that he sacrificed himself, I think that was there so that the audience knows or the readers know that she saw what he did, and I
yes,
don't
yep,
think that story's done.
yep.
We have two more issues of this storyline, the Starbreaker Supremacy, and I think all hell is about to break loose. I don't
Yes,
think what Nathan did was
yes,
good. We assume it was good, but that's not how these things go.
right.
Stories
Especially with
don't end with two issues left.
yes, right. We got
So,
a ton of story left. Yeah.
uh, Vactor, this comic cooks. Let
Yeah.
everybody know. We have a lot of new people in the chat this week. Let them know where they can find you. Everywhere they can find
Yeah.
you.
Um, this comic cooks on most platforms. TikTok and YouTube are the two that I focus on. And recently, I've been inspired by both Wonder Rob, who was in the comments, as well as being a part of Lanterns Live. I've been kind of inspired to do what Marvel heroes would get, or I should say, which lantern rings would Marvel heroes get, or Marvel
Yeah.
villains. So people have been suggesting things to me, and I've been saying, okay, well, this character can be this color, or this character can be this color. So that's what my current series is on this comic cooks on both YouTube and TikTok.
And what's your most recent one? What's your
The
most
one I
recent pairing?
I just did Venom today. Somebody asked for
Oh,
Eddie Brock Venom, so that was the one I put out today.
ooh. Can you say? Can I guess?
Yeah. What's your guess? I want to hear
I
it.
mean, I feel like, oh boy, it's tough.
I was gonna say he's also tricky because he has had this arc in the comics. He's not the same character now as he was in the 90s.
Right. I would say, I mean, you can probably just do all sort of different symbiotes from the Venom universe
Oh
and
yeah.
Green Lantern
Uh-huh.
rings,
Yep.
like Carnage and
Yeah.
everybody like
Yeah.
that. For Venom though, man, I mean, he's an alien. He's oh, can can I mean, my I have very limited knowledge on Venom, but for me, like, because I love the movies, for me, even though I know they're like nothing like the books, I fully understand, but I find great joy in those movies. They're really,
Yes.
really campy fun.
Yes.
I feel like Venom has an appetite.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes.
And so
Yes.
I'm going to go with, for me, I would say orange.
That
But
is
he could also do fear. He could also do
Yes.
rage. I feel like Venom could be he could be a White Lantern. He could wield all the rings, I think.
Yep. That's what's also been fun about this series is that there are a lot of ways you could justify the different emotions. Which one do you think is the best fit? And I love that the orange, the appetite, because Venom, he especially when he was first introduced, he was always talking about eating Spider-Man's brains, and in the movies, he's eating chocolate and all this stuff. So yeah, I can see that.
I mean, Black is also obvious because they, yeah, okay,
yeah. So great job.
Who'd you pick?
Well, I specifically, I'll just say,
should we go to TikTok and YouTube to find out?
Watch the short, but I'll say what Ralph said is not too far off from what I said.
Okay. Oh man! All right, you heard it here. Leave you on a cliffhanger, just like Simon Baz wielding the gauntlet of Krona. Thank you so much, everybody. Head to this Comic Hooks Vactorverse and the Star Wars one.
Trust in the Force.
Trust in the Force. I was going to say feel the Force. It's trust in the Force. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for everybody in the chat. Go check out the shirts. This is the best commercial I've seen for the shirt so far. Go check that out. We also have other stuff other than just the Lanterns Live logo. We have Radu's coffee cups. We have Ferris Aircraft fur covered jackets. We have Ferris Aircraft hats. And we have Warriors, Guy Gardner's Warrior bar pint glasses and can-shaped glasses. So check all those out. I would say we're getting to the point where we're this close to getting Lanterns news. So you want to hit the bell icon because I will go live as soon as I can after receiving any sort of Lanterns news, whether it's concept art, logo reveal, production shot, outfit, whatever, anything. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, beware my podcast. It's Lanterns Live. Bye.